Hello, how's everyone doing this evening? Hope everyone's okay. I wasn't around last week, so it's been a while, but I've moved house, so I'm obviously completely knackered. This came out today by the CRC, which is like a conglomerate of exchanges, Coinbase, Kraken, Poloniex, and Bittrex, and they rated the coins that they offer on how likely they are to be called a security by the US authorities. And I'm really not sure how to read this. Does this mean because they're all under 5, none of them are securities? I'm really not a big fan of exchanges marking their own homework. Or does this mean that, this is a 95% chance that Maker and Polymath are going to be securities and 85% or 80% chance that Ripple is a security? And if they are securities, then why are they offering it to their customers without qualifying them as investors? So anyway, might this have an effect on some of these coins? Might it be, in the higher rankings? Might that mean that people might start to get out of them? I really don't know. I don't know how to read this, but I'm watching it curiously. So, if they think something has 95% of the characteristics of an illegal security, should you still be selling it? Or does it mean everything under 5 is fine because it's not a security and they've decided? I wish it was a bit more clear. Maybe somebody more cleverer than me on the stream knows. So let's go to Bitcoin. Now, one thing I talked about in my group, when we had the big rally, and I need to get out of this Binance chart and we'll go to a Bittrex chart because it has more chart history. I'm going to take this away. And a friend of mine pointed out to me that if we look at the advance when we had the, if we look at the advance in, gosh, I don't know why I can't, sorry, I need Bitstamp. I'm at the wrong exchange. That doesn't help. Here we go, Bitstamp. Now we've got a really good history for our Bitcoin chart because we're going to take a look at a phenomenon when we had the 2014. I put this on YouTube before, but if you didn't see it, we'll look at it on a weekly chart. And we're going to put our fib retrace from 0. So we're measuring the pullbacks from 0. So I'm going to move all this down here to, there we go. In fact, let's do it the easy way with settings, and we'll say 0 here. There we go. Okay. So when we look at each of these pullbacks, and we'll zoom in now. And this is after we made a bottom down here in 2014, 2015. If we look, and we'll go all the way along here. I know I've ruined it. My 0, there's my 0. If we look at each of these pullbacks, we can see that this first pullback was to 38.2, 38%. This next pullback here, 38%. This next pullback was less than 38%. This next pullback here, less than 38%. Remember, we're keeping this at 0, so each time we're looking at what percentage the pullback was. This pullback was exactly 38% from 0. This next pullback here, 38%. So you know the drill. We're doing well here. Okay, this one, 23, didn't come back very much at all. In fact, this one. And then when we get to the highs, no surprise, our first pullback was exactly 38%. And then when we dropped underneath it, that was the trend over. But it was quite interesting that, each of the pullbacks were sort of between 38 and 42. When they had a tail that went over, that was each of the pullbacks. So now when we look at this, we kind of don't want it to go if this really is the start of a new big rally, we didn't really want it to come back more than that 40%. At the moment, we're kind of at the maximum that the biggest of the pullbacks was in the 2014-2015 advance. So that's what I'm looking at. What I'm a little bit concerned about, and what makes me a little bit bearish still, and thinking that we've still got further to fall, is when I do the high to low here, you can see that we've gone beyond the 50%. And that's normally, you know, you can have a probe below it, but weekly closes are important, and we close the week underneath this 50%. That means that if we can't get back above it and close above it, it's at 8,500. We're probably going to continue lower towards 7,000, 7,200 area. Now, at the moment, we're bouncing pretty nicely. In fact, you know, much better than I was expecting. So let's take a look at another chart where, because these fibs, you know, haven't been perfectly respected. If we look at how we pull back at this 38.2, it was a bit messy. So maybe this is just a messy 50%. Because if we look at our total market cap, rather than Bitcoin, and we look at the whole crypto market as a whole, these fib levels from the December 2018 lows are being respected really nicely. This first time we tagged the 236 fib here, we closed above it. And then it was perfect resistance. The first time we tagged this 38.2 here, we bounced and then we had a bit of a mess with it. But when we were underneath it, it was perfect resistance. This 50% gave us a perfect bounce back to the 38.2. And here we are at the 61.8. So at each one of these other fib levels in the total market cap, we've seen a really nice bounce off each fib level. And in this one, we've got a pretty nice base building here and a bullish engulfing reversal day today, where we've taken out the last 3 days of sideways price action and are looking really good to go higher in this total market cap chart. So I'm a little bit optimistic, especially as this chart has been pretty good technically. Let's take away these fib retraces and we'll go to a monthly. And you know, this was a pretty cool, it was let's go to a weekly. In fact, it's better because we can see we had a nice reaction here at the 236 fib, a perfect reaction at the 38.2. So, you know, this is all behaving not too bad. I wonder if this is just a big ABC correction here as well. That would be pretty nice and pretty bullish. It's not actually. The equal measured move would be a bit lower, like if so it's not perfect, but doesn't look too shabby at the moment. So potentially, are we, you know, if we're going to say, is the low in Bitcoin, are we going to rally from here? Maybe, maybe. So we've got a really nice bullish reversal in our total market cap for Bitcoin and for all of the cryptocurrencies. And in Bitcoin, we've got a pretty nice daily retest of the lows and a bullish engulfing as well. So for us, if we can get back above this 8,500 level and close back above the 200 moving average, then yeah, I would say there's a pretty good chance that we have made a bottom here. If we can't, and this is the most important part of the message, if we can't and we fail at 8,500, we are probably are headed to the next support, which is at 7,250. That's not too far. You know, in fact, I've started buying a little Bitcoin because I think, you know, there's a pretty good chance, you know, and it's low risk, and I don't think it's too far to fall if we fail here. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. Has anybody got any questions about Bitcoin? DW says 84.18 is the 200 moving average. Yeah, exactly. DW's dead right. You know, the monthly candle, the monthly closes tonight. So the monthly candle closes tonight. So that's quite important. Let's take a look at our monthly chart because they're always quite informative. And I'm going to put my fibs the other way round. Here like this. See, I kind of feel with this monthly, you know, when you reverse at a 61.8 fib, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to come back to the 38.2, but quite often you come back and you retest the 236 fib, and that's where this monthly 20 moving average is lurking. So I wouldn't rule out like one more push lower, but I would I'd feel much more comfortable if we could rally from here. Let's put it that way. Giselle says, have I heard how the chart has to square up so it may go back to the 3K level? Yeah, I've heard that a lot, Giselle. I just don't buy it. Listen, you know, really, let's go back to the monthly of Bitcoin US dollar. Okay, if we think that this is a big wave one of a new upswing, okay, after a really horrible sell-off, then you know, most of these start with a short squeeze. People are still too bearish, and so we don't come back to where they want it to buy it, and it just squeezes, and then and it doesn't come back that far, and it goes higher and higher, and they end up chasing it higher. That's how trend reversals normally happen. So, but you know, technically, even as a wave one, there's nothing to stop us coming all the way back down to, you know, we could come all the way back down to, I don't know, this monthly 50 moving average. We could come back 88% of this rally and it would still be okay as a wave one, and we could still do a bigger, you know. So I just so far when I look at this correction, I agree with Miguel. I just don't see anything bearish about it. I think it's been let's look at this daily. I think it's been choppy and overlapping, and each of the waves have run back into each other, and that's not what you see in a trend market. Now, have we had a bit of a breakdown here? Yeah, we have, but and I tell you what I see, which is probably more concerning, is people, you know, and you don't know until how this unfolds. People say that this is just a big A leg, and this was a B leg, and we're in a C leg. Well, I don't think that. I think this is complete. And I think in terms of timing, this was complete at the bottom here. But they're saying what we might do is just another big ABC higher here. So if that was the case, that would limit our upside. So in other words, if this was the first leg, instead of doing a big wave 3 here, which would take us to new highs, you know, we might just do this and retest the highs or a lower high, and then another big lower again. And, you know, I think actually that would be very trying for Bitcoin, some endless sideways. And, you know, when we look at how the halvening happened in Litecoin, how is that going to play out for Bitcoin next year? Are we going to rally into the halvening again and then collapse? Is everybody, you know, because everybody's expecting it to be bullish? It's, you know, that changes a lot of things for me. For now, I think the monthly chart isn't showing it, but I think that there's, you know, what happens when we get to 8,500 and then 9,500 will be pretty key to whether we are going to go higher from here or the correction isn't over. So, you know, all you can do is you can wait, buy a little. So I would say if we get back above 8,500, I'm going to buy more. And then I'm going to look towards this previous lows here at 9,500. They're going to be major resistance. If we get back above them, I'm going to buy more, and I'm just going to build my position. And if we get back above 10,000 again, we're going up. That's it. Bottom's in. So there we go. Another way we'll put our fibs on from these highs. This 236 fib at the moment is 91.84. That lines up with the low from July. So let's see. Miguel says, with whatever happens with the halving, it will get at least to buy the rumor. Yeah, we should get at least to buy the rumor, but people will be quite wary after what happened with Litecoin. James Davis is looking for 6,800. So a little bit of an overshoot of this 61.8 level. You know, I definitely could see that. Abel Seaman Stain thinks we'll go further if we drop down there. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be much more comfortable if we could rally from here. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. That daily 200 will tell us. So, and if we can rally from here, you know, then we've done one of those pretty nice 40% pullbacks, which match that last big advance. One day at a time, exactly. So let's look at some of these others, because here's a good point with Bitcoin. When we did this last 5-wave advance in the big rally in 2017, okay, which started around September time. So not far where we're off now. In fact, the rally started around where we are now, actually, because we had this breakout. But in fact, when we made new highs here, it was the 11th of October. Now, in this first rally we had up until September, the alts really weren't playing. But when we started this, the first leg of this advance, the alts really weren't on board. But when we pulled back and then we rallied in November, the alts went berserk. I think that having had this first, what we've done here in Bitcoin is we've had this first big rally from the start of 2018, end of 2019, and the alts didn't play, did they? In fact, they died a death. And so this time, I think that they are all setting up to outperform Bitcoin in this next leg higher, if we can get it going. And a lot of these charts against Bitcoin point that way. Ethereum certainly looks ready to outperform Bitcoin. Now in Ethereum, we've got a bit of a nice double bottom going on here. Just like Bitcoin, we've had a really pretty positive day today, a bullish continuation. You know, we've got a lot to do in terms of Japanese candlesticks. If you look at the daily chart, our reversal here is when we go more than 50% of this big red candle, the big open close candle. More than 50% of that will make this a bullish reversal. That's exactly where our 20 moving average is. So I'm going to say above 185 in Ethereum, we've got a bullish reversal and sideways moving averages. When you've got sideways moving averages, you don't have a trend, you have a sideways range, and so your target then becomes the highs. We've got double bottom, and we're going to look for that to confirm at the top, so 223. So if we can trade above 185, we're probably headed to 223 next in Ethereum Tether. Trainovator said, did I once say that a run to the 618 level? Yeah, no, what I said was, 50% retraces very often. So what I said was, so if you have a market that's rallying and it pulls back 50%, so if this is 50% of this high, low high, then the next leg will be normally to 50% of this high to low, and then it'll go until it breaks the pattern one way or another. So it'll go down or it'll go up, but that's what normally happens. And yeah, if you get a market like within a triangle or a wedge, so say so let's do that again. So if we're doing this, what you'll find is if this was 61.8 of this high low, this one will be, I haven't drawn it right, let's do it, will also be 61.8 and vice versa. And in an equal triangle, it will do it like that. So yes, as it tightens up, you'll see that pattern a lot. Nick Trades, do I follow fundamentals like on-chain analytics? Alts do not have the same fundamental. They are less. I completely agree. And I would say that, most of the time my base holding is Bitcoin, and I trade in and out of Bitcoin. I'm not a hodler of alts, but I don't mind occasionally hodling Bitcoin. And until we get back in a proper uptrend, which we are not at the moment, I think it's death on a stick trying to hodl altcoins. you know, there's no new money coming into crypto yet until we start going up again. It's the same funds sloshing around and going from coin to coin, and you have to follow the money. And yeah, I definitely think it's risky. And, you know, and it's risky that some of them could be declared as security, and that will be the end of them, including, you know, potentially Ripple or EOS or, you know, and I don't think the American, you know, they didn't sell EOS to Americans, but they advertised it in Times Square. So I don't know how the American authorities are going to like that. We'll see. Anyway, nice double bottom here in ETH. Therefore, if we get above 185, we'll definitely head to 225 and then potentially a reversal. If we've got 5 waves down, which I think we have, we should be looking for at least a 3-wave bigger reversal. So let's see. Yeah, Ripple was deemed to not be a security in the UK. The UK is considered one of the more looser financial financial regulation is not the toughest in the UK, let's put it that way. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be in America. Okay. Now, the news, you know, before, so we've got Bitcoin. Let's talk about Ripple. I'm going to talk about Ripple against the US dollar because we had this support level. And we had, this is the last rally before the drop. We hit the 1272 extension of this, which is a pretty good place for us to hit. And it also put us underneath this big double bottom level that we had from August 2018 that was quite good support when we retested it here and initially was resistance. It looks really positive to me that we're back above this, and this is starting to look like a bit of a false breakdown here in Ripple. Now, if that's the case, the first obstacle we're going to take from this swing high is going to be the 236 fib. So if we get above those daily moving averages, we're going to look for 0.2828. And that, interestingly, as it always does, lines up with those previous lows. So that's going to be, here they are, trouble area 2853, between 2853. That's going to be our tough resistance. If we can't get above there, we're probably still headed lower. If we can, then we're going to head back to the highs, 200-day moving average, and then this bigger trend line, I think. If this is just a triangle, and this was just a false breakdown, and this is just, which it looks like, I suppose, on a weekly, then let's draw it like this, then, yeah, if this is just a false break of our triangle, then top of this is where we go, which would be a 61.8 retrace of this level, which is at 0.3964. So we've got a couple of levels. We're going up if we go above 28.28, and then our resistance is at 32.62, and then 39.64, and then only above there really would we say, gosh, Ripple's back in an uptrend. So that's Ripple against US dollar. Doesn't look too bad. Now, if we look at some of these charts against Bitcoin, we will see why it looks like we're going to have a period when these coins start to outperform Bitcoin, because this is a really lovely looking bottom at a big, let's go to the weekly, 886 fib level. And when you reverse at an 886 fib level, and this is from the big, I'm zooming all the way out, this is from the December 2017 low to the January 2018 high, the big, you know. Now, when you reverse at an 886 fib level, your target is back to the 50% level, which is 11,485, and your confirmation that you've reversed is when you get above the 786, the one that you broke. So for us, our confirmation level will be then 49.17, and then we should head back to these highs at 11,485. So short term, against Bitcoin, obviously it's not going to be a straight line. We've got massive resistance here at this double bottom that we would have to get above first. that comes in around 39.65. So that's going to be a problem. And these previous highs as well. If we say, remember, if when you're in a downtrend, if we say this is our last leg lower, you know, when you're in a downtrend, you have to take them out to start, you know, making highs. So I think that this level here also is going to be a bit of a wobble level on the way. But in terms of fib patterns, yes, we could definitely see Ripple outperform Bitcoin and head much, much higher from here. So Ripple will soon be $2. Okay. Hi, Manchester. Hello, Carl. Did we check ETH Bitcoin? No, I did, but I didn't talk about it, and I should have done, because ETH Bitcoin has got the same thing going on, a really lovely bottoming pattern. So our trend reversal here in ETH Bitcoin, the last swing high was here. Of course, we've taken it out. In fact, we got above it, came back tested it. So clearly we're on our way higher very nicely in ETH Bitcoin. And again, this is why I think that these alts are all setting up to outperform Bitcoin for a bit. Now, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of work to do. And this big red line, let me take this. In Bitcoin, the confirmation that we've reversed the trend is at 0.02642 ETH Bitcoin. 0.02642. If we just rally up here, and then we're still in a downtrend, unfortunately. But short term, that's where I would be looking. It's not just the most recent fib level that we broke, but it's a big deal in terms of support here and resistance, support. So Miguel says Ripple is following the Wyckoff accumulation method textbook. Yeah, it looks really good. Bullish cross of our, you know, for me, this bullish cross of the moving averages followed by a pullback retest is textbook. And we should be looking to at least the 200 moving average next. So a lot of coins are starting to look like this. Even Litecoin, that everybody loves to. I have to say, I do think Litecoin has a little bit more room to the downside. And, you know, if we look at Litecoin, Bitcoin, tidy up a bit here. The problem is with this one is we're at new lows. Let's go to the monthly and you'll see what I mean. Here it's all a little bit tricky, and what I really wanted to see was us back above this low, something like that, and it's not happening. And so I'm thinking, you know, really we should be looking at measured moves from this high, and if we do that, we went beyond the 61.8 level that we didn't hold. Potentially, unless we get back above it, which is at 0.007741 Litecoin Bitcoin, we're probably headed lower. And you can see on a daily how we actually perfectly tested that fib level. So, you know, in corrections, the ABC swings, the three legs are very often equal distance, or their second leg, or the final leg is 61.8 of the first leg. So this is the first leg, and we've gone beyond that 61.8 level and its resistance. So I'm not feeling it for Litecoin. So if you're looking at the altcoins that you would like to buy, I'm afraid that for me, Litecoin isn't it. And if I look at Litecoin US dollar, let's go back to this one on a monthly chart, and we'll go back here. I'm afraid for me, I now think, we'll do fib retraces from this low to high here. We've got a little bit further to fall to the 78.6. I'm going to put them on the center. We'll make them a different color. Okay, so we're not quite at the fib support I wanted to see, but I think we're actually going to end up making a back pattern, and my target is 36.50 for Litecoin US dollar. Sorry. So I'm just not seeing the same signs, I'm afraid, in Litecoin. That might change. Now, if Litecoin rallies back up from here, gets back above this previous level that it broke, starts doing something to shout trend reversal, then I'll be all over it. But for now, it's still a downtrend, and I think it's too risky. There's much better opportunities out there. Okay, so Bitcoin Cash SV. This is another one that has bounced from a big fib level, an 886 fib level that we talked about before. Remember the rules for an 886 fib level. If you get back above the 786 fib, which for Bitcoin Cash SV would be back above 93.93, then we will rally to 153. And this was another one with a really nice bullish reversal day today. The key question is for Bitcoin Cash SV, because this is one of the riskier altcoins, is it going to outperform Bitcoin as well? Because that's kind of what you want to see for a reversal. And I have to say, it doesn't look too shabby, does it? It does look like it's trying to. Are we also in Bitcoin Cash SV against Bitcoin bouncing from a really good level? Yeah, we've held this 886 fib level here. So if we get back above the 786 fib that we broke underneath, I'm having a bit of fib trouble manipulation here. Okay, so if we get above 0.01217 and these lows here, we're going to go rally back to the 50%. So let's tidy up that. That's going to be our target, and we don't need them. Okay, take them away. Yes, no, we need that one. Okay, so if we get above 0.01217, then the meat in our sandwich, the bigger part of the trade is from here to here. Or we could say easily above the daily 50 moving average. That's nice and easy, isn't it? We're going to go back up to 0.01876. We might have a bit of a wobble at this 200 moving average. The market tends to get a little bit stalled around it, but it's flat, so it doesn't become so important. It becomes a range trade. And then if we go obviously beyond that, we can look to the top of the range the other way, and I would say my second target, if this actually takes off, would be we tested the 236 fib, where it meets the trend line, and that would be 0.02484. So at the moment, all we can say really about BSV against Bitcoin is it stopped going down. It's attempting a base, which it's done before, but it's not a trend reversal until above 0.01217. Looking okay. Okay. Markets don't continue. No, not always. But, we've had a pretty decent correction in this one. Every other fib level in this BSV has pronounced a really nice rally back to the previous one. There's no reason why this 886 fib level shouldn't give us a really decent rally here back to the one that we broke down. And if we fail there, then yeah, we're still in a downtrend. Or, it might get people excited and try and build a head and shoulders pattern here. That would be really cool. But, they fail too. So it'll get everybody excited, and then it'll just roll over and kill. It might roll over and kill them as well. But at least we know what we're looking for, and we'll be watching it. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is ZRX, because ZRX, I remember when this one first, I got excited about this one for fundamental reasons, and I didn't look at that too many. But I'm not sure, isn't ZRX on that list of it might be a security? I can't remember. That wouldn't be good. No, it's not. Okay, we're okay. Okay, phew. ZRX. Now, this is a retest of these lows here, and a pretty nice bounce so far. Here's our lows. It's a bit messy, and we're off the lows. How far are we going to go? When I'm looking for targets, okay, for reversals, this is a weekly chart. We stalled at the weekly 20, but I'm going to go to the daily. I take the last obvious swing lower, or 5-wave swing lower. So for me, because this is the biggest correction that I can see in this swing, I think it's maybe this one. So I'll put my fib retrace on from here, and I'll see if that 236 fib kind of lines up with any other structure, or I'll put it on and I'll watch and see what happens when we get there. Because if it doesn't, and it just blows through it, or it doesn't really line up with anything else, then I'll try this big swing and I'll put it on here, and does it line up with anything, and will we get a reaction? I kind of do it like that. And if I can't find any targets we're using fibs, I just go back to the old-fashioned way and say, you know, these previous lows and this 200-day moving average, they're all going to line up to be probably a bit of trouble around 36, 35. So I think we're building a really nice bottom here. I'm watching this dip. When I look at ZRX on a lower time frame, like a 4-hour, I think we've done 5 waves up, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the risk is that we're looking here for at least a 3-wave correction before we can buy it again, an ABC. So if we've just done the first leg, we're going to need to see a bounce and then another leg. And it might look like that, or it might even look like, you know, be bigger and it look like that and come back to this previous wave. That would be quite a common place for it to come back to, or it might come back to a really obvious fib level. This would be 50%. If we came back here, that would be a really common one as well. So I love ZRX. I think it looks great to go higher, but I think at the moment, with the moving averages here on the 4-hour flattening out and 5 waves up, that we need 3 waves back before we can buy it again. So I'm holding back on that one. This weekly 20 would be at these previous lows as well. And then, you know, we might get a bit of a, maybe a better entry. So yeah, I love ZRX, but I'm watching it. Now, if you've already got some ZRX, you're not going to want it to come back 50%, are you? So let's go back to it, look at it this way. And I use fibs from the lows here. And for me, if we go beyond the 236 fib, which we have here, and in fact, it's now support is now resistance. For me, as long as we stay above it in terms of fibs, we're still in an uptrend. And you see how we got, it was support and now it's resistance. That says to me a bigger correction is underway. So if you've got some, you might want to sell some and buy it back down here if you love it, even if you love it. So that's how I see ZRX, Bitcoin. I think it is going to outperform Bitcoin, but a bigger correction is underway at the moment. Is Ox a shitcoin? Do you know, a lot of them are. And you know, when this is all shaken out, then a lot of these coins are just not going to exist anymore. The problem is that we don't know which ones those are going to be. And listen, yeah, I know, okay, if we look at the graph of them, listen, every altcoin, when you look at a monthly graph, looks like this. They've all retraced 80 or 90%. They really all have. Okay, what would be the relevance of a coin being categorized as a security? If you want to sell securities in the United States, you have to have a license. You have to be licensed by the government to do it. And you have to take a whole bunch of exams. And the people that you sell to, you have to qualify as investors. You have to qualify that they understand what they're doing, that they know enough to be able to make a decision, you know, about their investments, and that they fully understand the risks involved. And it just like stocks, and that's a whole bunch more regulation. So yeah, okay, so that's where I see ZRX. I like it. I think there's a good chance of a bounce. I think, you know, listen, if we just bounce back to the 236 of the drop and the monthly moving average, you know, we'll get back to 6,300. That's pretty cool when we're at 2,000. So, and that would still keep us in a downtrend. We could bounce to there and still be in a downtrend and die, and we would still have tripled our money. So it's okay. Okay, so that's ZRX. All the coins we're looking at tonight are kind of ones that look like they're setting up to outperform Bitcoin. And ADA is another one. So we're going to start with ADA Bitcoin. So we're making a bit of a base here at the lows. Now, one of my rules is that, first off, the 236 fib is like your trend resistance. But in a downtrend, or in any trend really, a very common retrace is 50%. So, yeah, so here, like, I don't know, I'm trying to find. So here we had a bounce 50%, and if you can't go more than 50%, you're still going to go lower. So here's our drop, 50% rally, still go lower. drop, 50% rally, and then we went beyond 50% and we have a bit of a bottom. Even here, you know, when we rally off the lows here, I'm not showing this is a 50%, but I'm saying that 50% in a trending market is a very common retrace. And so when I look at this last swing lower here in ADA Bitcoin, and I see that we cannot get beyond this 50% level from this high to low, it says to me that we have not reversed the downtrend yet in ADA Bitcoin. Not only that, unfortunately, in ADA Bitcoin, this looks like an ABC correction where we have two equal measured moves like this. Yeah, it went a little bit beyond it, but let's face it, it wasn't three waves, was it? It was two big, choppy, overlapping ones, three overlapping ones like this. So I'm afraid I think that ADA Bitcoin is still in a bit of a downtrend and at risk of retesting the lows. And when I see an ABC pattern like this, now there's sometimes this is just the first swing in a bigger, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do a final one, you know, bigger one. How would we know if that happens? Well, the normal place that it retraces back to is the 786 fib on this low, and that would be here. So 429. So I think that we still have another leg lower to come, and we will come down to at least 429 before we probably rally again in ADA Bitcoin. So I'm not feeling this ADA one so much. Now, that doesn't mean that ADA US dollar isn't going to go up. It just means that ADA isn't going to do better than Bitcoin, that's all. I have to say, if we look at this US dollar chart, let's put real candles on. We have had a bit of a bounce today, but we are still, you know, in quite a solid downtrend in ADA. So I'm going to take all of these away. Let's start this again. And we'll look for where the 886 fib is and see if we're there yet. Because, yeah, you know, we are in ADA US dollar. So we could, and this is, here's the trade. Remember, when you bounce at an 886 fib, you go back and you retest the 786 that you broke, which we broke here. Okay, so we're going to rally back up here to 0.042911. So 0.0429. And if we can close above 0.0429, then our trade will be from here back to the 50% and the 200-day moving average in ADA dollar. That would be the trade. So short term, look for a rally back to 0.0429. And only above there will we have our biggest swing, 0.066. Okay, so ADA US dollar does look set to rally. I'm just not sure that it's going to outperform Bitcoin yet. That's all, if ever. Now, what would make me bullish ADA? If we hold that 786 fib level that I talked about, like this is ADA this is ADA dollar. This is ADA Bitcoin. So 786 retrace, which here at Binance comes in at 428. So if we hold support at 428, we could see another leg higher, around 428. Yeah, 428. Okay, so not one of the ones like looking guaranteed to outperform. BCH, which is Bitcoin Cash ABC, is this one. This is Bitcoin Cash against US dollar. So we had a big rally, which potentially could have been 5 waves here. And are we at this nice 61.8 level where we could rally from? Kind of we're underneath it, which is not terribly good. So it's kind of maybe we could rally from here. Is this second leg 61.8 of the first leg in BCH ABC? Not quite yet. So, you know, maybe no, this is the answer. So I've kind of got the feeling that we've got further to fall in BCH, unless we can get back above BCH 244 US dollar. And then we might rally back and try these moving averages again. For now, though, and I'll put regular candles on. Yeah, does look like a pretty good bottoming pattern, I agree. And if we look at it on a 4-hour, it looks even prettier, doesn't it? Okay, but this is a head and shoulders pattern. So when we break the neckline, our target will be twice the distance, like this. So if this is our, this is where our target would be, up here, 263. I actually think that this is quite strong resistance at 244. So let's see. Now, if that's the target, and we say 50% of the last swing is very often where you'll hit trouble, and we'll look for where 50% of this swing would be. It's around where it would go. So 266 then, I would say, for my target. And that would line up with all these lows, wouldn't it? So if this inverted head and shoulders patterns breaks higher, look for 266. If we go above 266, then yeah, we probably have got a pretty nice bullish reversal going on in BCH, but that's where your resistance will be, 266. So for now, setting up a pretty nice bounce in a downtrend, but not a reversal yet. So there are some cool patterns out here. Let's take a look at metal. This is a properly old school coin, metal. Another metal Bitcoin, inverted head and shoulders pattern, all set to outperform. Now, this one, let's go to the weekly, we'll zoom out and we'll look. Just this last swing lower from this high to low, the 236 fib, our first resistance, and these previous lows, so they all add up to a whole bunch of trouble, coming at 119. So that, I would say, if we can break out of this bottoming pattern, and the 200 moving average there as well, so that's going to be a whole bunch of trouble at 6119. So that's your target if we break out. Now, let's look at this on a 4-hour. We look pretty good to get higher here. Sometimes, though, when the whole market's looking at the same pattern, you get a little bit screwed over. So the best way is to wait, break above, and then wait for the retest. And the retest is the test. So that would be then a very nice trade from here to here. 6119, and then above 6119 and above that resistance and above the 200-day moving average, then metal has got a reversal going on. But yeah, a very, very nice pattern. If we can break higher, they're only valid if you can. So there it is. Put regular candles on, you can see, look, that there isn't closes. In fact, if we look at the candle closes, daily closes, this is actually where our resistance is today. So we'll just line it up like that. Can I do Raven? Yeah, I will do Raven. Hi, Dom. Now, so that's what we're looking for in metal, and then above here, trend reversal. TNT is another one, making a pretty nice pattern. Look how long we've been building this base. This is an accumulation, hopefully down here. Now, I've got this line here. Okay, first off, I'll take all the lines away and take all this away. So if I take the most recent swing lower, and I'm ignoring the spike in TNT Bitcoin, this is the last swing lower. This is the 236 fib where we kept getting to and failing. Couldn't get beyond, and then when we did get beyond, we went to the 38.2 fib and came all the way back. If you get to the 38.2 and you're going to keep trending, or if you get above this 236 fib and you are really meaning it this time, what you will do is you'll get above and it'll be support, and then you'll do it like this. It's like climbing a staircase. Every time we've done it, we've gone beyond and then just crunched back and fallen back underneath again. So that's what I'm looking for, to us to get above 566 and hold above 566. What's interesting about this one, and so far we're not there, is when we've stalled today and we're stuck at a level, and if we draw the weekly closes in, it comes from this low here. So we'll take the weekly close here and draw it across, and you'll see that these weekly closes, it's just kind of, that's where we're at. So it's a little bit underneath. So I think a close above this level would be really helpful. 540, gosh, something like that. Anyway, No breakout until we do. But if we can hold above 566, we're on a winner. And then we're going to look for the bigger 236 fib, which is all the way from this high, as our next target, which is at 1065. And if that's where I'd be looking for next. So 566 is what we've got to overcome. 781 is resistance. 1065 is our target. But a good looking pattern. Giselle says, you read somewhere that the third wave is complete. This is the fourth wave and then going lower. Do you mean in Bitcoin? You might be right. You might be right. You've been mining Raven and selling Bitcoin. Okay. Right. Where are we? So we've done metal and TNT. We're going to look at Sonm. Sonm Bitcoin. This one for me is pretty clear. You know, it's quite simple. We'd take the last swing lower, high to low. The 236 fib is resistance. And that's what we've got to overcome. And now the 200-day moving average. So if you buy this, if you get a buy set up, that's going to be your first target at 276. And only above there are we going to get super excited. So let's look at this on an hourly, this one. Because we're looking at this big correction to see, is it over? Let's do this, widen it out. I'm going to put our fib on from the low to the high, like this. It might be 786, 38.2. Okay. So we're kind of in this zone, isn't it? 200, 210, 209, 210. This is the one. I think, though, let's measure this swing. This is 61.8 of this first thing. So potentially, this correction in Sonm could be over here, right here, where we're sitting with all of these bunched up hourly moving averages. When we look at our bunched up hourly moving averages, we could be making a little bit of a bottoming pattern here that'll get us into the bigger one. So left shoulder, head. Now we're looking for a right shoulder to form overnight, hopefully. And then a break higher above 165 would be an interesting long entry, put us above all of these hourly moving averages. If we look at our 4 hour, we put us all above those, and that would set us up for a run higher. And then our target for this would be up here, back to the resistance at 280. And if we get above 280, on our way. So 280, 276 is the fib level, 280 is kind of, yeah, previous high. 276, 280 would be my target then, and see if we can get above it and the 200 moving average on this next attempt. So yeah, looking okay. Daily moving average is nice cross here. Let's see on the next attempt if we can take out that 200 moving average. So Sonm is looking very interesting. It would be amazing above 280. S&M. Sonm. Okay. Link. This has been a nice chart. Link. This is Link Tether. Sorry, when I did Sonm against Bitcoin. I'm figuring most people are trading it against Bitcoin. And if your chart is going up against Bitcoin when Bitcoin has been going down, you know, then it's probably okay against the US dollar. And as I will show you, the worry at the moment is if you look at a chart and it's going up against the US dollar, and yeah, this is what, and making a pretty nice base here, 200 moving averages resistance. So if you're looking at Sonm against US dollar, you really need it above 0.02. Giselle said, do I know what wave Bitcoin is on? I think we're in a big wave 2, okay? And the final leg of a big wave 2 is normally 5 waves. So I'm looking at this, and so I know what you mean now, Giselle. So this final leg should be 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, this is wave 4, and we should, if we can't get above this resistance, we're going to have wave 5. I agree. What a lot of Elliott wave people won't tell you is how often wave 5s fail. They fail all the time. What we may have seen today, when we retested these lows and couldn't break down, was a fail 5th. That actually happens more than people admit. But the only way we will know if that has happened is if we get above this resistance and back above the 200 moving average, and then we get back above this 9,500 level. So, yeah, I agree. It's all pointing to one more push lower, but I'm open to it going either way. Whenever you've got your market flat and going sideways and consolidating just sideways, to be honest, you have to be open to it being going either way. So, yeah, and Abel says it might be a nice pump and dump. Yeah, but you know, Bitcoin does love to retest previous highs and previous lows. It really does like to double bottom quite a lot. Miguel says he still thinks that we're in wave 4 of the Y wave, and this is the Y wave. Yeah. Peter Brandt mentioned that Bitcoin couldn't get down to 659. He does those parabolic support and resistance, doesn't he? Which is quite effective. Honestly, what was the low here? 3,090. Bitcoin could go down to 3,091. It could. And it could still be called a wave 2. As long as it doesn't make a new low or an equal low, it can go a long way. I would just say I would have more confidence if we didn't go too far. That's all. Sniper thinks this is a pump up to the monthly end in 4 hours and then it'll dump. Well, Sniper, if that's the case, then we won't break out of this sideways range and we'll be stuck. And, you know, that's okay. Everybody here is using stops, right? You know, I think if you're in Bitcoin at the moment, you either know where you're not prepared for it to come back below, or you've made a mental decision in your head that you're okay with it coming back to 7,000. I have a small position. I'm okay with that coming back to 7,000. Or, you know, you've got 6 million Bitcoins stashed in cold storage and you're, you know, shorting it to hedge your position, to hedge against your investment. You know, that may also be me. And if it was, I wouldn't admit it. But okay. Should we go back to Link? Let's go back to Link because I can't remember where I got. So Link is, okay, from this high to low. Remember we talked about that 50% level. If you're in a correction, you generally don't tend to get back above that 50% level. Well, we had a big retest of the lows at the moment, and this 50% level for me would say that we are going back to the top of the sideways range in Link. So this is Link Tether, and that level is 1.7635, and it was the high here on the 25th of September. So I know we've had one bigger bounce. Let's go down to an hourly. You can see we've actually had a bigger bounce. But you can also see how this level has now become resistance, and we're kind of staying in the bottom half. So let's see if this is just a bounce correction like this. If we do that, might we go? Yeah, we might. It's all very sideways and Link Tether at the moment. But, you know, this is a double bottom. This was a swing failure pattern. I think that we should look to back to the highs and the top of this range and where we hit resistance before. And that would take us back. I'm going to take this away. So if we go more than 50% and we get back above this daily moving average, I think we should look back to the top of the range at 1.96 in Link Tether at that would confirm a bottom. You know, double bottoms are quite reliable bottoming patterns. So looking good in Link Tether. Is it going to outperform Bitcoin? That's going to be the key question now in this one. And yeah, it looks fantastic. So let's put regular candles on, and you can see, okay, first time we tried the 236 fib, we could not close above it. That's at 20,648. Yesterday, we closed above it. And today, when we came back and back tested this level, it was support. That's a really good look. We should continue higher from here in Link against Bitcoin. And we should be looking for 24,279 next. And then 27,213, which is 50% of this high to this low. So looking really good. I did in my group. There's an hour video explaining about it. So swing failure pattern is basically when you have a level like here. This is a good example of a swing failure pattern. So we've got a level here from this high, haven't we? And here, so it was resistance here, and here we came back and we tested it as a support. We did 2 days, we tested it. So that made this level more important. Okay, now we came back and we tried it again, and we traded underneath it, but we couldn't close underneath it. I can't move this. Stop. Okay, there. So here it is here. So this break below that couldn't close below was a swing failure pattern. Reversal, false breakdowns, swing failure patterns, whatever you call them, are very powerful reversal signals. When that happened here, look at what we did. We had a huge rally, okay? That's a swing failure pattern. And Bitcoin loves to retest levels and do this. Here's a double bottom, a proper double bottom. Here's a swing failure pattern that's this high. Okay, so we made a high, we retested it, we went beyond it. That's a swing failure pattern, closed back below, and that was our bearish reversal. So you've got to watch out for them. When they go beyond your level and then can't close, this was a swing failure pattern here. At the lows here. See what I mean? Okay. That false breakdown and rally back, that's what we wanted to see. So it's like a double bottom where you have a tail. That's all. Okay. So as long as we hold above 20,648, I really do like this link to go higher. I'm looking at this consolidation here. I'm thinking, in fact, we are about to, for me, I'd be looking for this to break higher here. It's looking all good. And I think you can safely put a stop under 20,600 and 20,500 would be a good stop. Buy, and then you're looking for it to rally from here. We should not come back now under this level. Famous last words. Probably some exchange is watching this and he's going, that bitch, I'm going to run the stops. Let's hope not, eh? Okay, next one we're going to look at is Nano. Nano. Buy request. These are all requests, okay? So, no hate mail. We will look at Nano. Now, Nano is one of those unfortunate coins trading at new lows in a downtrend. If we look at Nano Tether, all of our moving averages are pointing to lower. Each time we rally back to them, we drop. So have we reached a fib extension level where we might find some support? And I'm looking for a 1272 here. That would be a good one. So it's not going to let me. What the heck? Come on. Okay, I can tell you because I looked at this earlier that we are at the 1272 level here. Okay, and so we can expect some support. If we don't hold this support, we're going to drop to this 1.618 extension down here. So against Tether, we are at a potential bullish reversal level. How are we going to know? I'm going to say, let's go down a swing level. like this, and say, we'll say this is the last swing lower. Where did we stop? 38.2. You know, it's not compelling, is it? And if we take the biggest swing, where would our 236 fib be? Oh, it's not letting me do it on this page. I don't know. See here, you know, we've done this before. We've built a bit of a base in a downtrend. This is what happens. You go sideways, and then when the support breaks, down you go to the next level. So I'm saying that there is potential. We could potentially rally from here, but I'm not seeing enough signs of it yet. What I would like to do is see it build a base. I'd like to see it flip these moving averages bullish like it did here, and then above the hourly or 4 hourly 200 moving average, that would be the first step. Then above the 4 hour and so on. You know, we need to, if we draw this as a sideways range, so then we'll say this is the highs. If we get above there, watch out that we don't just see a little false break and an ABC reversal, because I'm not convinced yet that Nano has made a base. And it needs to do a little bit more, I'm afraid. A little bit more. Let's see from up here if we've got an extension level as well. No, you see, we're underneath it. That's a bit irritating that we're underneath the 1.618. Well, we know where we are going to be bullish if we get back above. If we get back above 0.78 Nano Tether, we can be bullish. Now, let's see what Nano's doing against Bitcoin, because maybe we have some more joy that it's going to outperform. And it is holding these lows, you know, but the problem here is there's no trend. It's just a sideways range. Now you can trade it as a sideways range. So we'll take these away and we'll call this our sideways range. And you can call, you know, you can trade it as a sideways range, and you just need to wait for it to break out. And it's going to break out one way or another. So higher or lower. If we head lower, we're going to head to 698 Nano Bitcoin. That's the next big fib support. If we head higher, we will head, remember, there's a good rule of thumb, you know, most patterns that chart analysts look at happen when markets are going sideways and they're making a sideways pattern. So all of the double bottoms, head and shoulders patterns, you know, they all happen when we're going in corrections. Bear flags, bull flags, triangles, they're all patterns that the market makes in consolidation. And so it's us trying to read the tea leaves when the market's going sideways to see which way next. Here we've got double bottom, double top. It's just sideways. And we really need to buy the bottom, sell the top until we break out of this range. So nothing to do in Nano, but I would put an alert on this top if you like this coin. And if it breaks it, that would be your alert to buy it. And we would look back to this big support level that we broke and this spike low. So 1263 would be where I'd be looking for a target. And my second target would be the 200 moving average, because we would be above these daily moving averages for a first time in forever. But at the moment, Nano, I'm afraid, is just a sideways maybe for now. Okay, we're going to look at PHB. I'm talking ages tonight, I hope nobody's too bored. But let's take a look at PHB, which is Red Pulse Phoenix. This is a really nice bottoming pattern, isn't it? Really nice. Let's look at this daily, because if you look at daily closes, this one has broken out. And we're going higher. And if we look at this, I've got to take that one away because it had my alert on it. If we look at this kind of previous high, which I like because this was the last swing before we made a low and a double bottom, that kind of confirms the trend reversal for sure in this one, and becomes a level, hopefully, that we can buy against. So buy pullbacks, I think Red Pulse Phoenix is going to 171 next against Bitcoin, and then potentially 308. So buy pullbacks means like this. Now, the reason that I use Heikin-Ashi candles, which if you look at the candlesticks on here are called Heikin-Ashi rather than just candlesticks. These are candlesticks. I like Heikin-Ashi. Is they are a moving average on the candle color. So you can see when they go from red to green, you're turning higher again. And when they go from green to red, we're turning lower. And they kind of smooth things out. So I find them really helpful in pullbacks. I tend to look for 3 waves and then I look for the green to go red again. So there we go. Red pulse Phoenix, yes, I love it. I think unless we have a disaster into the end of the month and we have a collapse here, I think we're going higher. I think there's really good support at 84. And yeah, looks great, doesn't it? Last one we're going to look at is RLC, and then we'll see if there's any requests. This RLC has been lovely. Here we go. I've got it against the US dollar. Mainly because, you know, when you have a chart that looks really good at like against Bitcoin, like this one. Here's RLC Bitcoin. And we've got this really cool bottoming pattern here as well. Here's our daily moving averages. Here's our inverted head and shoulders pattern. And here was our breakout, in fact. So we go from this low. Here like this. Oops. Okay, so there was our inverted head and shoulders pattern, if you like. Comes from this lows. Now we're on our way higher. First target is going to be these highs because this was the last swing lower. That's what reverses the trend, and our second target will be the 200 moving average. But to be sure, we will put some fibs on. I'm going to do this last swing. Okay, because we don't want to get stuck at the 50% level. In fact, we want to trade above it, and that's what we did today. Initially, when we hit it yesterday, it was resistance. Now we're above that 50%. So we're not going to do that 50% pullback thing, and this 50% at 2595 now becomes support. We go to the 61.8, 786, and so on. It's like climbing a staircase, these fib levels. So 2595 is now support. And we're looking for 2830 and keep going higher next in RLC. So big target, let's look for our daily big target. Because this is our short-term target. But big target, we should be looking for the 236 of this entire big swing. So we're going to measure from that high to this low. And it should come in somewhere around the 200 moving average if we're doing it right, usually. There it is. So our big target is 51.58 and the 200-day moving average in our RLC. I think it looks lovely. And again, I was looking at the US dollar chart first because although that one looks good, you do want to make sure that it's going to go up in US dollar terms as well, and it's bouncing. This is one of those horrible bitty charts. It's holding the lows. I think it's okay. Let's look at another one. Calculated by Trading View. Yeah, this is what I was watching. We're off the lows. What I really wanted to see here today to give me confidence was back above the daily 50, and we've got that as well. So you wouldn't touch RLC with a barge pole. Okay. There we go. So, Trainovator, let's go back to Bitcoin. Everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin. And you know what? Quite right. Because if Bitcoin can't break higher here and fails at these highs and makes that next leg lower down to 7,200, then, you know, all of these lovely bullish patterns, it's going to put a bit of a lead weight and hold them down for a bit. I think longer term, all the ones that are, you know, looking good to outperform against Bitcoin, it will just be pullbacks. But there we go. And my favorite chart of the night is this total market cap chart here, which where we are at the 61.8 retrace of the lows to highs, and we've respected all these other ones really well, and so I'm thinking this is a really good place to bounce back and retest the 200 moving average in this chart and see what happens there. Okay, there we go. Now, somebody asked me some questions. The question of the night was, would I use fib retraces on a log chart? And the answer is absolutely yes, because the log chart doesn't change the price. Here's what I mean. Okay, so if I say I think that Bitcoin's, this crypto is going to rally from here, I'm going to put my fibs on from high to low. Okay, so we can see that my 236 fib price here is 24999 blah blah blah. If I switch to log, it's the same price. All of these fibs are the same price. So switching to log scale from regular doesn't change the price of fib retrace levels. It's the same price. Let me show you another again on a different chart. We'll show you on Bitcoin. Okay, I'll take this fib away. Okay, so I'll go to the daily. We'll put our fib retrace on from this high to this low here. You can see if I switch, so we'll look at the price state of our 236 fib, and our target, it's 91.97. And if I change to log scale, it's still 91.97. So it doesn't change the price of the fib retrace levels when you change to log scale. Now, you have to change, for that, you have to change the fib to log scale, that's true. So if I want to look at a chart, okay, so for me, do I trade the fib settings in log scale? I do not. But I do sometimes alter the chart. Or like, for example, if we were looking at Bitcoin like this, and I've got it in log scale, okay, I can see all the fibs, but you can see if I put them on, they all line up 786, 886. Now, if you wanted to look at fibs in log scale, you have to do it down here. I can't remember. Fib levels in log scale. Now, this is quite interesting because if we think that this was a big wave, so we've got our Bitstamp chart on, long-term chart. If we think that this was our wave 1, this was our big wave 2 pullback, and this was our wave 3, the most common retrace of a wave 3 is 38.2. So we've done our 38.2 retrace here in log scale, haven't we? And what pullback was this one? 236. So. But no, I actually don't tend to use them in log scale normally. But I leave them. So I leave my fibs setting at normal, but I will switch my chart into log scale so I can look at it and count the waves. So thank you, Andreas, for your help. Okay. All right, everyone. Good night. See you next week. Trade well. Good luck. Let's see if this is just a little bounce off the lows in Bitcoin, or if in fact we can get back above our 200 moving average and make some progress. If we can't, 7,200 is where I'm looking. And if you are trading Bitcoin in euro, which I know a lot of people do, Bitcoin in euro, if we can't get above 7486 and hold above it, we're going to look for a drop to around 6375. Okay? Good night, everybody.